All right, we are back here on the Just End Suffering podcast for the first time doing an Oscars preview on the podcast. I mean, last year I did the recap with this guy. This time we're back giving you the tease, the rundown for the Oscars. First time I talked to him since January on the podcast. The great John Stanko is here. John, how are you?
Mike Phillips, how you doing? How you doing this fine, whatever night we're taping this? It's been a long day. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I have to say, I mean, I've seen John in real life. This is the first time we're doing the podcast because John's a very busy guy. So I'm glad we made the time to bang this out. I feel like I've enriched my life taking this exercise.
Wow, that is very endearing of you. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you diving in deep. I know you're watching some movies to prep for this, and I tried to do so as well. Luckily, we have till April 25th to see every movie that's in contention, but I think this year's Oscars are going to be an interesting one. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we are recording for the Inside Baseball people on the podcast. You're recording on Thursday, April 15th. Happy Jackie Robinson Day to all who celebrate in baseball world. The Mets got rained out. And as John knows, all baseball fans in New York know, the Mets have not played much baseball so far this season. They've had a lot of postponements, a lot of rainouts. So
no, it's great. I get to break the news to my coworkers when the games are canceled and they just get super angry. So it's very fun. I take pride in doing that when I see it on Twitter before they do.
Yeah, so I'll be proud about this because all those games the Mets got washed out or postponed or whatever, I've used that to watch the movie. So in a span of about 6 days last week, I watched 7 movies.
Hey, there you go. You're getting on my level. I like that.
Yeah. So I watched 6 Best Picture movies and Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. So you could tell which is number 7.
Can you tell which one belongs and which one doesn't?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Fantastic Beasts and Grindelwald is just awful.
It was terrible. I told you. I have no desire to watch whenever the new one comes out because it's just going to be a time suck.
I mean, I watched it. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I'm confused. They're trying to shove all this plot in there. It was like Batman v Superman on steroids.
It's worse than that. I was entertained by Batman versus Superman and the original Justice League, even though they weren't good movies. The Fantastic Beasts and the Grindelwald was just an abomination of a movie that wasn't even entertaining. It was boring and it was bad, which is a terrible combo.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Let's talk about some better movies, though. Let's talk about the Oscar movies. I mean, the ceremony is on Sunday, April 25th. It's about 2 months later than usually is. What do you think about the quality of the film? Because obviously we had issues with the theaters last year. We had not a lot of stuff coming out because of COVID. Like, do you feel like the quality of movies based on what you've seen so far is lesser than in previous years?
I personally, Mike, I do. I don't think there is a drop dead phenomenal movie this year to pick from, or frankly, a pair of them. For instance, last year, Parasite, for me, I was championing hard for that. That movie was near perfect, if not exactly perfect. And to be fair, 1917 deserves some of that same accolades because that movie is also one of the best made movies I've ever seen. So those are 2 movies that are on a tier 1. I don't think anything this year approaches that level, especially of last year. I think there are plenty of high quality movies, but I wouldn't say a ton of excellent movies. I think there are a lot of very, very good performances, and some would say excellent performances, but movies as a whole, I do feel in general that this year is just a little bit down. I don't think that has anything to do with movie theaters per se, because frankly, a lot of these movies, these are independent movies that wouldn't have been big in the box office anyway. These are a little bit more of darlings and kind of they're not made for making money, if you will. They're made for the prestige. So I don't think the theaters not being open matters. I think this year, it was just a little bit of a down year, and it also showed that streaming services are here to stay with the Academy Awards and with awards in general, because this year kind of laid the groundwork for it. And guess what? It's only going to get more and more as time goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you brought up 1917 and did not win last year. I think 1917 beats this entire field this year if it's eligible.
I would agree with you. Yes, I do agree with that statement. And Parasite, I mean, would do laps around every single person nominated this year, every single movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like, it's sort of like last year's NBA draft class where, like, not great class. There are good players come out of it. I mean, we saw Melo Ball has been a fun player in the NBA, Emmanuel Quickly, Anthony Edwards, but you compare it to a couple of years earlier, you had Zion and John Morant, not the same deal.
No, exactly. And again, there are a lot of movies I'd recommend to people. There aren't a lot of movies where I'd say, no, this one's not even worth watching. Nothing like that. But there is nothing like Parasite. I literally told people to stop what they were doing and go and watch it. Same with Portrait of a Lady on Fire wasn't unfortunately nominated last year, even though it should have been. And that was a movie that I told people, you need to stop what you're doing right now and go and watch it. There wasn't one of those movies this year. There was a couple where I would be like, you should definitely make time to see it, but nothing of drop what you're doing, stop watching sports, put on this movie right now, and it's worth the rental fee or whatever it was. So it's just a bit of a down year. I'd say very very solid floor, very enjoyable movies. A lot of B and B plus movies for me in terms of the award winners, but very few in the A range.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. So how many, like, I'm not kind of just best picture in terms of movies that have gotten like multiple Oscar nods. How many have you seen so far?
I've seen the majority of them. So if I'm looking at the movies that I need to watch for sure, I need to watch Minari. That's one that I didn't want to pay $20 to rent it because frankly, Mike, I couldn't afford it. So waiting for that rental to come down a little bit, which it has. So I'll be watching that this weekend. I plan to on Sunday. The Father is another one that got multiple nominations I need to watch. And then the other one is Soul, which a lot of people are saying they're surprised it wasn't nominated for a Best Picture because it would have been easier for it to shoe it in as the animated film. But Soul is probably the third movie that I need to watch. But I know for sure that I'm watching Minari this weekend, and I'm going to eventually try and find The Father, even though it's a little bit hard to find, I think, a little bit hard to rent.
Father is on Apple TV last as well. You still have to rent it for $20. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't have Apple TV, and I blatantly speaking, I can't afford $20 to rent anything. So unless someone's got a screener they can send me, The Father might be the one that kind of goes by the wayside this year. I try and watch everything, but unfortunately, I don't own every streaming service and every rental.
Yeah, for me, I've seen 6. I will say, like, I did not get to the 2 you mentioned, Minari and The Father. I did not get to. I also did not get to Promising Young Woman. I missed the window on HBO Max, so I did not. So that one I'm going to wait till it goes back on there before I watch it. I'm not going to pay the $20 based on the time I have.
Promising Young Woman is, I'd be very curious when you see it, because while it may not have been the best movie I saw this year, there is no denying it is the most talked about, diversive, and completely compelling movie. It will generate more talking points than any other award movie this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that one. That's probably the one of the 3 that are left on my list. That because I made a list about 9 films when this came out. I said, okay, I'm going to watch these to get ready for the podcast. I went to 6, so I'm happy with myself for that.
Yeah, and definitely watch Promising Young Woman, because I guarantee you the ending is so divisive. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are left completely unsatisfied. Some people are saying that was the most ingenious thing for that story to do. So incredibly intriguing movie. You definitely got to see that one. And Carey Mulligan's fantastic.
Yeah, we'll talk about Carey Mulligan in a bit when we get some of the award categories. You had to power rank them right now, the ones that you've seen so far. Like, what was give me a quick rundown what the order is in terms of best to ones you did not enjoy as much.
All right. Well, in terms of like the movies that were nominated for me, I'm going to tell you right now, the best movie I've seen this Oscar season that I think should win Best Picture, as we're going to go through all the categories, I'm sure. But my number 1 is Judas and the Black Messiah. That movie was powerful. Also, it somehow combined a very telling story, but it still made it, I don't want to say a blockbuster movie, but it made it an entertainment vessel as well as a character study, which I think is very, very hard to do. And there were 2 incredible performances in it as well, from Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield. I'm surprised Lakeith Stanfield is in the supporting category. That's some fine work there to work in the fine print with the producers there in the Academy Awards. But Judas and the Black Messiah is number 1. I think Pieces of a Woman is a movie that got overlooked. I think Vanessa Kirby got nominated, but that movie as a whole, Mike, it tore me to shreds. I was in tears multiple times. The opening 15-20 minutes is probably the best movie making I've seen this year, is the opening 20 minutes of Pieces of a Woman. That's on Netflix. Promising Young Woman is probably my number 3, just because in terms of talking about it. And then you go down the list, I really enjoyed, probably the next 3 are like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Nomadland, and Sound of Metal are probably the 4 through 6, and you can kind of jumble them in that order.
Yeah, so I haven't seen the top 3 on your list. I've seen, of the 6 I've seen, the top 5 I basically say is I actually love Trial of the Chicago 7. I have that number 1 on my list right now. I did enjoy the performances in that movie. I have Sound of Metal is number 2. Nomadland is number 3. Then I have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom number 4 on the ones I've seen, and I put One Night in Miami number 5. That's one I threw in there at the bottom.
I think One Night in Miami, and I think Nomadland too, though I'm in the minority with Nomadland for sure. I think they are good movies with fantastic performances.
Yeah.
So while I would recommend them to everyone, they're not, as a movie, they didn't entertain me as much as I wanted them to. Like Leslie Odom in One Night in Miami is fantastic. Frances McDormand, I mean, just a legend now. Frankly, a shoo-in for any award she wants whenever she acts in a major motion picture. But I mean, your top 5 is good. Your top 5 is good. I kind of disagree with you on the Trial of the Chicago 7, Mike, because I'm curious what you liked about it so much, because I saw it Really liked it, but then as time went on, I forgot about it. There were things that I grew to dislike about the movie the more I thought about it. So I'm curious why you liked it so much.
I don't know if they got biased. That's the first one I saw. It hooked me right from the start. Because like for me, the scale is sort of like if you can keep me engaged, I don't want to look at my phone. I don't want to like do work on the side. I can actually stop what I'm doing and pay attention. Like this one gripped me like the most of all the movies. The performances I thought were very good. But I got invested in the characters more than I did a lot of the other movies. That's why I put number one.
Okay. Also, I should mention I actually missed a movie in my top 5 that would for sure be in there, and that's Mank.
Yeah.
Mank is for sure in my top 5. Absolutely. It's honestly probably 2 or 3 behind Judas and the Black Messiah. I completely forgot Mank, and I should apologize for that.
Yeah.
But in terms of the Trial of Chicago 7, so like you said, the performances are really good, right?
Yeah.
Eddie Redmayne, did you think he was good in that movie?
I didn't say Eddie Redmayne. I said the performances, not just him.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Eddie Redmayne, the more I thought about it, I thought his performance was really bad, and it really irked me how he got the final like punch to end the movie with him reading the names off. And I didn't think he was the one who deserved that moment, and I didn't think his performance hit that moment hard enough. And the more I think about that movie, the more it kind of ends on a whimper with that than something that ending with a profound statement. Like I would have loved for maybe Yahya Abdul Mateen's character to get with the black character who was chained in the courtroom and dragged off and disappeared for the last third of the movie. Like I felt more for him, and he was in less of the movie than a lot of the other major characters in the movie. So I think the focus of that movie, if I wish it was shifted a little bit, and I really wish Eddie Redmayne's character just wasn't a major part of it.
Yeah, it's certainly a fair point. I think in terms of the categories, go down the list here, go get some predictions in some of these. So let's go best picture. We have the big 8 are on the board here. You guys have seen most of them. Who do you think should win and who will win, do you think?
I think what I would pick is Judas and the Black Messiah from the movie that I have seen. Now, with that being said, I think I'm going to love Minari when I see it. Everything I've heard about it is that it's a character study drama everything I've heard about it is great. So I think I'm really going to love that. But right now I would go with Judas and the Black Messiah. However, I think what's going to win, and I think it's becoming a little bit more and more certain, is Nomadland. I think that movie is starting to get really etched into stone a bit with the way people are talking. So I think Nomadland is going to win Best Picture, even though it wouldn't be my selection.
I think I agree with you on that. Probably going to end up being the Best Picture pick. Like I wouldn't go that way personally. I think it's one of the teams where like Frances McDormand's performance is better than the whole movie. I think where she first carries the movie, and I think she should be more contention for the Best Actress spot. But I think just based on the reviews, and I think Chloe Zhao's direction is good. I think that's going to end up getting over the top.
I think the best part of Nomadland, besides Frances McDormand's performance, is the editing. They're able to shift between different settings and time frames, and it's all so fluid. Their months go by, and they seamlessly put it into the dialogue of the movie, where it's not like jolting you, being like, "Hey, this much time has passed," or "This person's here now." So I think the film editing, which is incredible in Nomadland, and a lot of that has to do with Chloe Zhao's direction and making everything fluid for the post-production process. So again, Nomadland is really good. It'd be middle of my tier in terms of movies that should win Best Picture, but I think it's really rich in there. And I agree with you, though. It's a movie based around a performance rather than a movie as a whole.
Yeah, I think based on the ones I've seen, I will, again, preface I've not seen all of them. I've not seen all the Best Picture nominees. Like, of the ones I would give it to, I'd probably give it to Sound of Metal. That would be my personal preference.
Okay, why did you enjoy Sound of Metal so much?
I just think the out of the box style they did this story in, I thought was very good. I mean, the use of sound itself was very creative. Like I felt compare out the character. I like the choices the story made as well, where like at the end of the movie, he does not get rewarded for coming to realization. You don't see him in a typical movie like that. Most people like, oh, he goes back to the community and he himself. No, he just sits on a bench. He reflects on the decisions he's made. There's no like happy ending. He starts there and sort of reflects on it, sends a good message.
Yeah, I do agree that the ending is profound. Riz Ahmed is great in it. And it was one of those weird things. It's a movie where it hurts to watch the character make a decision that they think is best for them, and which might be in the long run, but within the context of the story, it hurts so much to see him make that decision because he hurts other people around him. And he doesn't kind of know it and doesn't realize it, right? When he makes the decision to get his hearing fixed, it's like, oh, why are you doing that? No, you're finding yourself in this moment and you think you're missing something, but you're not. So again, a really good movie. I think the movie was a little bit too long for me, like 20 minutes too long. I think it stretched out a little bit. And I didn't love I didn't love him going to find his ex-girlfriend or his girlfriend. I didn't love that whole entire ending sequence. I like the ending scene of him sitting on the bench and with the silence around him, surrounding him. I like that. But the last 20 minutes of him going back, trying to reestablish his love, getting in the crowd, getting confused with all the noise, that one didn't land for me as much as I'd like it to.
Yeah, I get the idea behind it. I could see like, your point is that maybe the execution didn't happen.
Yeah, again, very good movie. Really enjoyed it. Riz Ahmed, again, great. But again, I think it's a movie based around a performance than a movie as a whole. Granted, though, this is I think believe it's up for original screenplay as well as We Go Down, and it is a fantastic original screenplay idea or to get this done.
Yeah, go to best director next. Do you think this is Chloe Zhao's to lose?
Yes, Chloe Zhao to lose, hands down, Mike. This is the easiest pick in the biz. We can move on to the next category. This is one if you have your money, bet it on this, and we're good.
Yeah, whatever the line is, bet it. You'll get your money.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I think she's going to win, and she's very, very deserving of winning. I would really like to see David Fincher win for Mank because of the homage he gave to the old cinema, and making that witty screenplay work and click so fast where you didn't feel like 2 hours had passed by. Going with the old black and white and so many homages to Citizen Kane itself. I think it's really talented what he did. But again, this is Chloe Zhao's to lose, like hands down.
Yeah, I think honestly the bigger one, I know there's some heavy hitters in this category as well, because again, I haven't seen The Father, I haven't seen Anthony Hopkins yet, but I think best actor, I think this is posthumous Chadwick Boseman's, I think, going to run away with this.
I would agree, and obviously there's the stat aspect of this, right? But I think Chadwick Boseman should win regardless of his passing. I think his performance is incredible. I have a reason for thinking this, Mike, but I'm curious what you love so much about his performance.
I mean, like, I've seen Chadwick Boseman in a lot of different things. I've seen him be Jackie Robinson. I've seen him be Black Panther. I've seen him pop up in several other movies, and the commitment he gives to that character, like the heartbreak you can tell when he at the end when he's trying to sell his songs and he knows that like he's been basically screwed and he just loses his mind, ends up killing the other band member, and you see like the just torture on his face. Like that was a really strong performance.
Yeah, I think it was phenomenal. I loved seeing him not be an angel. I loved seeing him be a character with flaws that had anger and that had personality because Chadwick Boseman, great guy, great story, unbelievable. If you look at a lot of his movie roles, he's the angelic figure. He's the god. He's the thing that people look up to. But in this movie, he was flawed. And I loved that because it was such a different perspective from what he's done before. And he did it so well. At the scene of him going into the closet where the walls are all around him, he's trying to break down the door. He's trying to get in there. But however, the walls are still there when he breaks down the door. And he's dug himself so deep a hole and the camera pans up to see him basically at the bottom of a chimney. And he's just down there, stuck at the bottom, trapped, even when he's trying to break through all the barriers. Such fantastic storytelling that he was a part of. Again, and then his performance just puts it over the top.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer to me. It's going to best actor. I feel like this one's interesting.
This one is absolutely loaded. I will say I have not seen Andra Ray in the United States versus Billie Holiday. I believe it's on Amazon Prime, I think.
Yes,
so I need to check that one out. But for me, this one is absolutely loaded because Viola Davis, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, she transforms. Like you don't recognize it's her. She's just yelling. She wants a Coke, and you better get her a Coke because otherwise she's gonna bite your finger off. Because I mean, with that character, like Ma Rainey knows the power she has, and she's fighting the system in her own way, and it's different from the way Chadwick Boseman's doing it. They're trying to go about the same thing and get their goal, but they're doing it in two different tactics. But for me, I would pick Vanessa Kirby from Pieces of a Woman because again, I think that movie rips out your soul, and Vanessa Kirby. I've never seen her act like this before. I've only known her from action movies, and she just completely transforms. Everything is so real. And again, that first opening 20 minutes, Mike, it's incredible. So she'll be my pick, but I think it's going to be Frances McDormand. And I don't think they're going to do Carey Mulligan because Promising Young Woman is a very controversial movie. And while she was very good in it, I think people are confused about her character development in that movie. And I think it's a fair criticism. So I would go Vanessa Kirby, but I think Frances McDormand is going to win.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of interesting picks in here. I feel like you could this is what I would stay away from. You're trying to place a bet on this. I feel like they can go four different ways in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. They can go four different ways. I think the only one that really doesn't have a shot, and I just haven't seen the movie yet, but the one I've heard the least conversation about is Andrea Ray. And with the United States versus Billie Holiday, that's the only one where I haven't seen people stoking the fire for she to be a winner.
Yeah, it's got the best supporting actor. I feel like for me, I feel there's a lot of buzz around Sacha Baron Cohen's performance in the Trial of Chicago 7. What do you think?
I don't think he was that great in that movie. That's my take.
Yeah. So
Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know. I preferred Mark Rylance's character in the Trials of the Chicago 7. I thought he was a better performance and character than Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. So what do you think they're gonna do?
I think they're gonna go Daniel Kaluuya from Judas and the Black Messiah. That whole movie centers around him and the calm charisma that he has amongst the chaos of the entire movie, and the speeches he gives when he's rallying up the Black Panthers. I mean, if you're watching on the couch, you want to get up and cheer as well. So for me, I think he'd be the one to win. Again, Lakeith Stanfield is really good in the movie, but I think this is the wrong category for him. I think he should have been in Best Actor. And Leslie Odom Jr. was the best part of One Night in Miami. There's absolutely no doubt there. That guy's going to have a massive career. He got famous for Hamilton. Now he's moving on to the movies. And I think he really benefited from One Night in Miami being adaptation of a stage play, and he was able to perform like he's used to. But Daniel Kaluuya, I think, is the runaway winner here.
Okay, let's go Best Supporting Actress.
Best Supporting Actress. I think this is the weakest category of the bunch. Personally, this is just me, and I think this is Amanda Seyfried's to lose. I think she was excellent in Mank. Not in the movie for a long time, but whenever she fits directly into that 1920s, 1930s vibe. It's perfect. Her charisma with Gary Oldman is fantastic. So I would do Amanda Seyfried, and I think this is the weakest category, highlighted by the fact that Glenn Close is in it for Hillbilly Elegy, which was a fine movie. It was good. It tried to be Oscar bait. The movie didn't reach that level, and I think this is just a courtesy nomination for Glenn Close, and they tried to make a push for her to win the award, but I think this is the weakest category of the ones we're going over today.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Mank. Amanda Seyfried was probably the best of the bunch that I've seen so far, but like you said, like not an inspiring list.
No, not an inspiring list. Which I mean, not every category, can be inspiring. So, but I think this is Amanda Seyfried's to lose.
All right, well, best screenplay. I feel like this could be interesting play. Obviously, you got Aaron Sorkin lurking in there for Chicago 7, and you got some other big hitters there.
Yeah, there's big hitters for sure. So, I mean, you look at best original screenplay, which is Aaron Sorkin, Trial of Chicago 7. Everything he writes is frankly gold for the most part, so he's going to be good. But best original screenplay, we got Judas and the Black Messiah, incredible movie. Minari, one I haven't seen yet, but it's tied for the most nominations with 6. Promising Young Woman, which is the most adventurous, risky, and brave screenplay of the entire bunch. Once you see that movie, you'll understand why. And The Sound of Metal, which we talked about, was a great original idea, and for that to come to life and give money to make that movie happen is really, frankly, it's a great sign that stories like that can be made. I think here's my bold pick, Mike. I think Promising Young Woman wins this award, and I think it should, because the guts to write that screenplay and to make it into a movie that is as controversial and as talked about as it is, I think that is going to be the big surprise of the night come April 25th.
Yeah, I just have a feeling with this category. I think this is going to end up going Minari's way. I feel like there are some voters who are going to say it's a very good movie. We haven't given it an award in the big categories. Let's give it best.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's actually a great point. I haven't really thought of that. I haven't really thought of that, but that's a great point by you.
Because I feel like they're going to try and get an award somewhere. I feel like there are places you can give Sound of Metal recognition. I don't think it's probably the categories that Minari is nominated. And I think they wanted to get at least one. So I think that'll be where it comes in.
I think we could say that Sound of Metal. I think the sound direction. So for best sound, I think Sound of Metal is a front runner from every movie I've seen this year. So that'll be the award winner for Sound of Metal. But I haven't seen Minari yet, so I can't comment on it. I'm almost positive I'm going to like it. Whether or not I'm going to like it as the movies I love so much that are nominated here, I don't know. But it's a great call by you that it does need to be recognized somewhere.
Yeah, and we said that Chloe Zhao as best director was going to be the lock of the thing. I think if you can get any action on the best sound, the Sound of Metal is going to run to the bank with that one.
Yeah, I think I may have misspoke earlier when I said it was a movie centered around a performance in Riz Ahmed. It might be centered around the post-production and the audio editing, between everything that he does on the screen and then behind the scenes, him acting through that pain and going deaf and stuff like that. And then to make the audio journey as powerful as it is, it reminds me a lot of how The Quiet Place, the silence was a character and you felt that silence. The constant static and screeching and underwater sound that goes through The Sound of Metal is a character in itself, because you're scratching your ears because you don't want to hear it, but it's making you connect more with the character in the movie because that's what he's going through.
Yeah, because 99% of the audience watching is not going to be able to relate to the experience of being deaf or losing your hearing, and they do a good job conveying what he's going through, but through their sound editing.
Yeah, again, when he was at the end of that movie, when he's walking through the party and his sound piece is it's just too overflowed and it's all staticky and he can't hear his girlfriend sing the way he wants to. It hit me. It was like I was like, ooh, all right, I see what they're doing here. And again, it was the audio that really made that work.
Yeah, I think that was a good call. And the other one, you said you haven't seen Soul. It seems like it's a very strong pick to win the best animated feature. I still highly recommend that one to you. It's on Disney Plus, and like it's still, I think, one of the best like Pixar pieces I've seen in years.
Yeah, this is one I just need to watch and I just haven't gotten to it yet. I need to be in a mood to cry because I guarantee you I'm going to cry.
Oh, you will.
So I should have watched this right after I watched Pieces of a Woman because I could have just cried for 4 straight hours and it would have been fine. I would have got it done all in one sitting. But now I have to schedule out time where I could buy some tissues and immerse myself into it.
Yeah. So here's my advice for you on when to watch Soul. The next time that like either the Red Sox or the Celtics have like a brutal, heartbreaking loss, then throw it on there for 2 hours afterwards, extend the crying.
Oh, there we go. So, all right, you know what? The Celtics are playing the Lakers tonight. If the Celtics lose to the understaffed Lakers, then I may be putting on Soul to also just wallow in my pity. So there you go. That might exactly happen.
Yeah, so that's the strategy there. I think that's our good Oscar breakdown. But I want to get something a couple other things here, which is I think you and I talked off the air. You watched the Snyder Cut. I watched the Snyder Cut. I did a podcast on the Snyder Cut a couple weeks back. Did a deep dive on it. But you were the movie guy, so what did you think of the Snyder Cut, the movie?
My straight opinion, Mike, is I finished it and I was like, this movie is better than it has any right to be. Like 4 hours, you think it's going to be a slog. And I'll be fair, I watched it in 3 different sittings because between doing work stuff and I just couldn't sit for 4 hours and do it. I believe you watched it in 2, you said.
Yeah.
But I was thoroughly impressed, thoroughly entertained. And it reminded me a lot of Watchmen, which was very long, but again, I was entertained throughout it, and I enjoyed Watchmen better than most. And this movie is better than it has any right to be. The worst part of the movie is the epilogue. Get rid of that shit, and the movie's great. And like the movie is good. I gave it a B. Again, this movie is better than a lot of the comic book movies I've seen recently. It was much more self-aware. Steppenwolf was actually fleshed out as a villain, but a sub-villain, if you will. They kind of made him more human, but also kind of fleshed him out. And I really, really enjoyed it. I think the CGI was maybe a little iffy at times because they wanted to get it done, but they fleshed out the characters they needed to. The action looked really, really, really good. And they didn't dwell too much on the melodrama that plagued the first one. They made it more fun just because they piped up more action to it and they fleshed out the characters in a very positive way.
Yeah, I think the epilogue is probably the worst part of this thing because it makes no sense. And
sucks. Why? I want to curse so bad. Why? There was no reason for it. It was there strictly just to get people to watch all the way to the end. And then they realized, oh wait, they never showed the Joker, but they showed the teaser. And that's just in the epilogue. It was terrible. It was awful. Good God. Jared Leto, you got to figure yourself out, man. You can't just be begging to be the Joker and then just be dropping lines that make absolutely no sense. Like zero.
Yeah, we actually have the audio of John Stanko watching the epilogue of this thing right now.
That's exactly what it was. It was just there was absolutely no reason for it, and like the red Martian or whatever, like that at the end too was just very, very on the nose. I was like, all right, come on, like I know you're Zack Snyder. I know you like to do the slow mo. You could if you took out all the slow mo in his movies, you can cut a half hour off of all of them. But that he went a little bit too extra, but that's because he knew he could with HBO Max. So, and I gave credit to HBO Max for letting him make this movie, and I gave credit to Snyder because I'll be honest, his Snyder cut, it was better. There's no denying that it was better than the original theatrical cut. And I think that's going to give a lot of freedom to directors to go to these streaming services when they know, hey, we're going to let you make your vision. Here it is. You can have this money to do it. And I'm sure that Zack Snyder's new zombie movie on Netflix is going to follow the same suit where he just made the movie he wanted and they didn't touch it.
Yeah, I think that's certainly true. I mean, 2 things that also stuck out here. You mentioned number one, the Steppenwolf thing. He is a lot better because the way they used him in this movie was very reminiscent of how they use Loki in the Avengers, sort of like where he's just the bad guy, but he's reporting for somebody else and somebody else is off screen for most of the movie, but he's there. I think that was a more effective use of him than him sort of being the lone wolf and sort of trying to do this on his own.
Yeah, it was great. And I think it raised the stakes for the movie because Steppenwolf wasn't the big bad. And I think it made the danger that they were facing more real because there's like, oh, you don't need to defeat this one bad guy, which he's a tough guy, but there's just one layer to it. There were multiple layers to the danger that the Justice League was trying to fight. And so I think it did a really good job. I was very, very thoroughly entertained. And I think the biggest part me and you talked about was Cyborg actually got a story, which was great. he didn't have one in the original, and they at least they flushed him out a little bit, and he had some of the better scenes in the movie.
Yeah, I came out of saying I want to see Cyborg movie. It won't happen because Ray Fisher basically broke up with DC over behind the scenes shenanigans and all the stupidity they were doing behind the scenes there. But it also shows you that DC, I don't trust them making the movies because this movie got screwed because they wanted it to be under 2 hours. And my friend Nick Frey was on the podcast pointing out when you watch the original cut of Justice League with the credits done, it comes in exactly 2 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. So they were just doing too much and they rushed to the theaters because they didn't give these guys their solo movies. And that's stuff that, again, you take out having to explain Cyborg's backstory, Flash's backstory, Aquaman's backstory at that point, and cut the epilogue. You probably get this about like 3:15.
Yeah, I think you do. I think DC movies are taking a bit of a hit because Wonder Woman 1984 stunk. It's just a terrible movie. And then this movie comes out, and this is what the vision that Zack Snyder wanted. And DC sees that the version that they put out is just not nearly as good as the one that Zack Snyder wanted. So DC movies needs to pick it up. I'm not sure if they're going to or what they're going to do. But with that being said, the new version of Batman coming out, the trailer was fantastic. Hopefully that one worked. But DC movies is taking a hit.
Yeah, it really has. And I mean, I think I've watched a lot of stuff this year. Like I watched WandaVision. I know you haven't. I've watched like basically all the Marvel stuff. I watched a bunch of movies. I think the other big movie news I want to get you take on before we go is what do you think about Knives Out? The sequel's going to Netflix.
Listen, I love Knives Out. Love it. I actually literally, I'm not even kidding you, Mike. Today, I had a friend text me going, any movie recommendations for me and my wife? And I says, have you seen Knives Out yet? He was like, no. I was like, great. There's your movie. I literally had this conversation today.
Yeah.
So I love it. The fact it's going to Netflix doesn't bother me at all. Great. I'll see it faster. I don't care. More people are going to see the movie. And as long as if they can create the same kind of fun atmosphere, I don't care where it goes. I don't. And I believe Daniel Craig is coming back reprising his role, which he was absolutely charming as hell in the first one. So I think it's going to be great. I'm really curious to see the cast that they're going to bring in because the first one had everybody, like every single person was recognizable. So I'm really curious to see how they'll do it again. I'm very excited for it. And I think Knives Out got snubbed for some awards in the year that it came out. I think that now people appreciate that movie more. It's going to get on Netflix, going to get more buzz. And Netflix, if the movie's as good as the first one, is going to throw all the money behind it to get the award recognition. So I am very, very excited for it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I mean, Knives Out gave us Chris Evans in a turtleneck, which we didn't know we needed until we saw that movie.
Exactly, right? It gave us, and also, so agreed. I'm really curious the setting that they're going to put it in. I think I loved the Northeast late fall, early winter vibe of the first one. Where do you think they're going to put the setting for this one? Where are they going to throw Daniel Craig, and where are they going to throw him in terms of like the world?
I would say Europe.
You're going to throw him in Europe. Okay. You know what? Just put it in a castle.
Yeah.
Make it a royalty thing.
Yeah. I think it would be fun to do something like that and have like some sort of like either like British or French manor where you're like investigating like a murder or something.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I would like that. I would like that quite a bit. Or I see like a Greek thing, a kind of like Greek island with like a nice house on the beach or whatever, and the chaos surrounding that. But I like the Europe thing too. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's fun. That's all the two conditions they have was basically Ryan Johnson gets complete creative control, which I think is a big win. They said the only string is Daniel Craig has to be in it. And I'm like, you understand perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we need, right?
Yeah.
I think a really fun project would be casting that movie from a fan's perspective. Characters, like what actor and actress do you want playing what type of characters? And just we don't need to figure out the mystery or anything like that, but just figure out like 8 actors and actresses, throw them into various roles and be like, this is how they're going to work together. I don't know how it comes to a conclusion, but Ryan Johnson, figure this out. So, and Netflix is going to shell out the money to get any cast that he wants, as long as he has full creative control. So that's a fun project though, that we could work on. Like that one intrigues me. I would
be curious to take, like, say, for example, like the Murder on the Orient Express cast, get some of them and put them in the Ryan Johnson story. I see because that was a very good cast. I just did not like the direction of the movie. I think you give them Ryan Johnson, I think they could be fun.
I immediately think of Christoph Waltz in one of these movies and his quirkiness working against Daniel Craig's character. That's the first person I think of that I would throw in this movie.
You know who I just thought of who I think would be fantastic in this movie?
Who's that?
Tom Hiddleston.
You're right. Yeah, he would be a good one. Yeah, tall, lanky. Throw him in a turtleneck for sure. He's got the wit and the banter to make it work.
Yeah, because I mean, we need to get him in something other than Loki for a little bit.
Well, that new Loki trailer dropped. I think he's in the Marvel universe for as long as he wants. So
yeah, that show's got a second season even before the first one came out. That's one of the only
yeah.
ones it had so far. So like they're committed to Hiddleston as long as he wants to stay.
Yeah, so I think so. So I need to catch up on the Marvel stuff. I'm just gonna be honest. My motivation to watch all of it is not very high.
I think I think you'll enjoy WandaVision more than Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's my personal opinion.
I've heard Falcon and Winter Soldier is very much just like a Marvel movie. It does not take any risks. It is very much just kind of it's an action movie with characters that you enjoy. WandaVision, I think I will like and enjoy, but I just don't like Vision as a character, and they ruined Scarlet Witch for me. So trying to get behind two characters I didn't like in the movies is tough. It's a tough road for me to hoe to get back in.
Yeah, WandaVision is a lot more fun. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier, I think now I've seen 4 episodes. It feels more like one of the Marvel Netflix properties, to be honest with me.
Well, to be fair, I like some of those. Daredevil seasons 1 and 3 were good. I love Jessica Jones. Luke Cage, I was fine with. We don't need to talk about Iron Fist, but I enjoyed the yeah, so I mean, I think it depends. I think Daredevil seasons 1 and 3 were excellent, and Jessica Jones season 1 is one of my favorite comic book properties in general.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not a bad side. I'm gonna watch it eventually. It's just when I can convince my girlfriend to watch Sebastian Stan, that's when I'll turn on Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that's a good place to start, John. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. Before I let you go, how can you follow on social media on some of the stuff you're up to?
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at jstanko99, or just search my name. I'm up there. And then getting back into the writing, stankosstance.wordpress.com. Also, you could follow just my movie things on Letterboxd as well. I've got all my movies up there, grades, reviews, everything like that. So that's where you can follow me and all my movie takes.
Yeah, I also saw you did a full rewatch of Clone Wars.
I did. Clone Wars was very, very good. That last season was excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
They know how to end a series. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I need to watch Rebels still. I'm waiting for Disney Plus to put out the release dates for the Star Wars TV shows, and then I'll really get cracking on catching up. But I plan on watching Rebels. I don't think I need to watch Rebels to get into Bad Batch, which is coming out soon.
You do not.
So
it comes to 4 Bad Batch.
Yeah, Rebels is next on my list. It's whenever I just want to start a new show by myself. But Clone Wars was superb.
Yeah, right now I'm doing a lengthy rewatch of like Clone Wars on the podcast here. I have our buddy Pete Considore, Nick Fred, and I are going back and we're watching seasons right now. So right now we're watching season 4 right now. Get ready to talk about season 4 next month.
Yeah, I mean it's excellent, and some of the lightsaber duels in that show are better than anything in the live action shows. Now, granted, you have more freedom with the animation and stuff like that, but like the duel between Emperor Palpatine, Darth Maul, and Savage was, my jaw hit the floor. That was incredible.
Yeah, I have not gotten there yet. I'm looking forward to that one, but right now I just finished the arc on Umbara. That's where I am in the show right now.
Okay, so wait, have you met Savage yet?
Yeah, we have met Savage.
Okay, all right.
He's season 3. We've met him, and we haven't gotten to him finding Darth Maul yet.
Well, I'm sorry if I spoiled that for you.
I know what happened. I know what happens. I haven't seen it.
Okay, all right. So yeah, but it's very, very good. It's the last 3 seasons are genuinely excellent, and the last season is just a movie. It's just a straight up movie.
Hey, when we do season 7, you want to come join us on when we talk about that, you're welcome to join us.
I'll be more than happy to. And I mean, I'll be more than happy to, because I'll just praise Dave Filoni for creating the best Star Wars things I've seen in years.
All right, John.
The last season of Clone Wars and then The Mandalorian. All praise Dave Filoni.
All praise Dave Filoni. John, thanks again.
Thank you, Mike.